sound of the band as a unit has always been it's always been a really cohesive thing, and like I imagine it is in any really distinctive band. It's like every part of the equation is equally important to the, you know, it's rarely one person that really kind of carries the whole thing. It's, you know, it's a really guitar heavy band, and so in that way, I guess you could say that, you know, I have a pretty heavy stamp on that, and but it's so important to how Sean and I play together, and how Mike and I play together as well. You know, that makes that all work. You know, it really takes the team. You know, so I mean, and sometimes we play. You know, sometimes you can play multiple positions on the same team, and sometimes you do in a band. You know, it's like one guy steps up, another guy kind of steps down or steps back. You know, but you know, I've been lucky to be able to write a lot for this band, and that's another thing you know, I'm very proud to do. You know, and actually, you know, to be able to create things that you enjoy, but also maybe speak for the guys in the band, and then maybe even on a bigger level, if it gets to that, if it passes that filter of the band and something that we can all stand behind, then it gets to go out into the world and see who it turns on. You know, everybody pretty much starts out the same way. You're a fan of music, and maybe there's some players that you really gravitate toward, or maybe and maybe kind of started you out. You know, and you know, for me, you know, a lot of the guys that I gravitated towards earlier, you know, one wasn't even really a guitar player, and it was Elton John for me. That was the first music I ended up hearing, and you know, kind of lit a fire under my ass and kind of made me want to do that. Some of the guitar players that had the biggest impact on me when I was younger was probably Angus and Malcolm Young. I would say had probably the biggest and remained probably one of my favorite rock and roll bands of all time, and that real distinguishable sound. And so you end up emulating, you know, your heroes, I guess, or guys that you look up to, and at some point maybe you start becoming yourself by emulating others, you know, and that's how it worked for me, and I think it works for most guys that way. And you know, if you're able to, I think we were able to maybe find that sound right about the time we made that first record. It was really coming into focus there. It wasn't maybe completely there yet, but I think for the most part, that first record, Facelift, it really, there's a stamp there. And you know, as we continue to make music and records, that kind of that got defined, and it also got broadened. You know, we did a lot of styles of music. You know, we did some really heavy stuff, and you know, basically a hard rock band that had some metal tinges, and you know, there was some punk stuff in there, and the blues, and there's even some country stuff on even the acoustic stuff. You know, I mean, I grew up listening to all sorts of stuff, you know, country, pop. I mean, I've been listening to some disco. I mean, blues, soul, you know, and a big, healthy helping of like rock and roll and English metal. I was a really big fan of guitar tandems, you know, and a lot of the stuff that I listened to early on were you know, tandems. I mean, like you know, Angus and Malcolm, and K.K. Downing and Glenn Tipton were really big with me. Dave Murray and Adrian Smith. There's a bunch of those, you know, and but you know, even Metallica and stuff. But I was always drawn to the rhythm aspect of guitar before I ever was drawn to anything that was like the soloist aspect of a guitar, and I guess that always stuck with me, is the rhythms and riffs, how riffs make a song, and that groove, and how important that is. And you know, I mean, I'd be just as happy playing rhythm guitar, you know, all the time. I'd gladly be you know, Malcolm Young. I mean, you know, no problem. You know, I love guys that are dedicated to that, and I think think James Hetfield is an amazing rhythm player, you know, and so I guess I was always drawn to that first, and songwriting within creating those riffs, and you know, most of my solo work, you know, there are some songs where I kind of maybe take a little bit of an extended attack at like doing some stuff, but it's basically kind of pretty brief and for the song, and also kind of created as like a vocal part, as like a singing vocal part, you know.
Right.
I didn't put enough time in practicing to be super pyrotechnic guy. I didn't. I made a conscious choice to. I maybe could have gone that way at one particular point, but it's more important to me to create songs, I guess, and work off of a rhythm bass.